Hello, Cyclones everywhere, and happy homecoming week. My name is Matt Van Winkle with the ISU Alumni Association. As part of our Homecoming 2020 celebration, we will be bringing you some fun and engaging virtual events all week long. If you missed yesterday's virtual interview celebrating 40 years of the Iowa State Alumni Band, go back and check that out on our Facebook page. Today, we are celebrating Iowa State's beloved mascot, Cy. Hatched at ISU's homecoming on October 16, 1954, Cy celebrates his birthday during homecoming each year. Coming up, we will hear from Iowa State alums who have literally walked in Cy's shoes. Joining us today is Mike Stephenson, a 1959 graduate and life member of the Alumni Association, and was Cy from 1956 to 1958. Brad Elm is also joining us, a 1981 graduate and Cy from 1978 to 81. And Noel Lichty Patterson is a 2011 graduate and annual member of the Alumni Association and was Cy from 2008 to 2011. So thanks to each of you for joining us today. And really, how cool is it to have former Cys spanning more than 50 years? So really kind of cool to have a lot of different decades joining us today. How are you all doing today?
Just fine, thank you.
Doing well, thanks.
All right. Well, this will be sort of a roundtable conversation. So let's just jump right in. Mike, we'll start with you. You were Cy not long after it became Iowa State's official mascot. How did you end up being chosen for Cy way back in the 1950s?
Well, it was an interview process, and I was the third Cy. I'm not sure who the first one was, but Jake Muellenthaler was second, and he was a SIG-EP as I was. And so it was a kind of an inside track there, and I'm not sure exactly what the selection process was, but the Cy costume in those days probably weighed 40 to 50 pounds. Mm-hmm. And so being 6'5" and fairly strong was one of the requirements in those days. In the original Cy, you looked out through the neck, and so you had the whole head and the head feathers above, and so it got to be something like 10 foot tall by the time you were done with the complete outfit, and so it's a lot different than the one who wanders the halls today.
Yeah. Brad, how about you? How did you get chosen back in 1978?
Similar to Matt, it was certainly an interview, kind of a tryout process. And the year that I joined the Cy squad, we went from 3 Cys to 4 Cys. So we had a squad of 4 people.
Gotcha. And Noel, how about you? You were kind of one of our newer Cys. So how did you get chosen?
So essentially, I've been a huge Cyclone fan my entire life. Grew up coming to football games, basketball games with my family, and when I was a freshman at Iowa State, I was going to all the athletic events, and it kind of started off as a joke that I had enough school spirit to be Cy. So there was a tryout spring semester of my freshman year, and it was kind of a big joke amongst my family and my friends that I was going to try out to be Cy. And I tried out. The tryout process at that time was you had to do the Cy strut, we called it, or how Cy walks. And then you had to do a 3 to 5 minute skit. You could do whatever you wanted to music or dance or whatever. And that was the tryout process. So a walk and then kind of a skit. And there were 12 of us that tried out, and I made the squad. So I was actually, to my knowledge, the third female to ever wear the suit. And the suit that I wore is obviously a lot different than Brad and Mike's, but it was not quite as heavy, but definitely big and clunky. And, you had to move around in it. And I'm 5'8", so I was the shortest. However, I guess you couldn't really tell that I was in there as opposed to the guys. So that was a tryout process when I became Cy.
Sure. Brad, when you were chosen, was there almost like a Psy boot camp type thing where before you got to go out in public as Psy, where you had to go through some training and just kind of how to interact with people in the public?
Well, not that I recall, and thank goodness they didn't require us to dance, because that would have been certainly a downfall. But my first time wearing the Psy costume was for Visha, and it was just an exhilarating first experience. So maybe they figured the rookie couldn't mess it up, just walking, along the street. But and by the way, I've always marveled at the modern version of Psys on how well they do dance. So it's kind of fun to hear Noel say that was a part of their tryout.
Psy in those days was not near as ubiquitous as it is as he is today, or she is today. Take your pick, I guess. I went to the football games and I went to the basketball games, and that was about it. And I went to the home games, and there was no making arrangements for traveling to other games and that sort of thing. So in my day, there was just one Psy, and so I could talk, and so there are a lot of changes have gone on in the 60 some years he's been around.
That certainly is one of the biggest things I'm sure that's changed, is that Psy doesn't talk. I mean, he interacts with his, hands, and he's got the big smile, and everyone just runs up to Psy and loves Psy. That's kind of an interesting thing that Mike has a difference on, I guess, between when Brad and Noel. I'm guessing when you guys were Psy. Brad, was that the case?
Yep, that's correct. Psy did not talk, and so part of the mystique, I guess.
Yeah.
That was one thing that was kind of a big joke, is because I'm kind of a louder personality, and it's like, how is Noel gonna not talk or laugh or but it is funny, and maybe you guys can relate. Obviously Psy gets his picture taken a lot with people, at games or events and whatnot, and obviously you can't see our face, but I feel as though I was always smiling regardless, in every photo, regardless that you could or could not see my face, because I was always happy, most of the time, to take photos with fans and everything. So I always had that big beaming smile, even though, Psy's big Psy head was covering my face.
Well, I'm sure each of you have some fun stories from your time as Psy. Noel, I'm going to start with you. What's maybe a memory that stands out in your mind from when you were Psy?
So definitely one of the classic memories that my friends and family like to remind me about is it was the Iowa State versus Kansas basketball game, which at home at Hilton, biggest game of the year for us. And I had decided that I was going to chest bump Craig Brackens as his name was called off during pregame. So you can imagine Hilton Coliseum is, booming, everyone's standing up clapping, and they're reading all the players' names, and they're doing their high fives as they're coming off the bench. And Craig Brackens was the last player to be called off, and it was all planned out. He knew I was going to do it, so I'm at the end of the high five line as his name's being called, and they call his name, Craig Brackens, and he comes down, high fives everybody, and then I jump up and chest bump him, and he chest bumps me. And since he's just a tick taller than I am, and his vertical jump is just a little bit taller than mine, the timing was not quite right, and the head actually popped off of Psy. And at that time, and even now, most Cyclone fans assume that Psy is a male, so the Psy head goes flying off the ground across Hilton Coliseum's floor to center court. Everyone can see that, Psy's a female. Craig Brackens goes, holy cow, Psy's a girl. The whole crowd in Hilton Coliseum hushes from that loud uproar that is during pregame. And I can't find the head because it was pushed quite a ways from where I was at. So find the head, throw it back on, and just try and continue to go with the pregame ritual as normal, and obviously the head was not connected to my face, because the head at currently it's like a bike helmet that fits on your head with like a piece under your chin. And so I just threw it back on, finished pregame, and then as soon as the game started, ran backstage. And it was actually a very awkward for me because at that point I was, it was out that there's a female Cy, and Cy can be a girl. Like, holy cow, Cy's a girl. No one ever imagined that, I guess. So looking back, it was a great opportunity for other female students to see that, you can be the mascot too.
I have a story. I don't know that it will top that, but it certainly is related to that. Back in the days, for basketball games, you didn't want this 10-foot creature wandering through your basketball court. It stands like he does today. And so I would take the top off, put on a red jacket, and sit on the corner of the floor with the cheerleaders. And I was there for the Kansas-Iowa State game, big game of the year. Of course, it wasn't at Hilton Coliseum, it was at the old Armory. And this was the game that Will Chamberlain was playing and Gary Thompson, and the game went down to the last second shot that we made to win that game. And I think it was the only game that Chamberlain lost in his 2 years at Kansas. And so it was wonderful to be sitting there really watching the game if I was only in half of the costume.
Yeah, actually, there's just many tremendous memories. I'd love to hearing Mike's historic perspective of that game, being a basketball fan, certainly. But one of the things that comes to mind for me, especially in this season of presidential elections, my senior year was 1980, and so it was the Carter-Reagan campaign. And so each fall, we, as a team would, collectively brainstorm what are some, themes or ideas we could do. We thought about, the characteristics of opposing teams and, key players that we might do something fun with. But for that fall, we thought, well, we need to have Cy run for president. And so we had a lot of fun with that the fall of 1980. And Cy had bodyguards coming out, or Secret Service around him, which were several of my fraternity brothers. And he had a presidential hat and a stars and stripes, cape, just to kind of glam it up a little bit. But we had lots of fun with that. But yeah, there's just countless memories, but that's one that comes to mind.
Well, guys, anywhere Cy shows up, draws a crowd and brings, I would say, mostly smiles to people's faces, maybe a few scared ones among the little ones. But what was the best part for each of you about being Cy?
It was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and and it's been interesting that people recognize me today as Cy. It's something that just has continued. And Roy Ryman, for example, always calls me Cy when we get together. And so it's been something.
You got your bronze Cy there. I know, didn't you have a part in the bronze Cy outside the Alumni Association?
Yes. Jeff Johnson came to me one day when he was building the Taj Mahal there. And he pitched this opportunity to add that to the entrance there of the thing. And I said it was the right project at the right time. And I was my wife, Jeannie, and I were very happy to do that. And it's been a lot of fun. And they said to us, we're going to have Cy kneeling. And I'm thinking, I never, of course you couldn't kneel in the old Cy.
Right.
And I'm saying, that doesn't make any sense. But then when we had the unveiling, and my family
Yeah.
was all around it, and the pictures that people had taken for a number of years have been more than rewarding, and showing that Jeff was on the right track there with his the way the statue was, and how it's been so much a part of people's graduations and weddings and all of those kind of things ever since.
I love, the community involvement in all of it. I think people think that Psy is just at athletic events, and we obviously did all the sports, or a majority of the sports, but we also got to do a lot of events out in the community, and also just with Cyclone fans. I did a lot of weddings or a lot of events with alumni, and I just enjoyed being around other Cyclone fans and just having that passion of just being around other people that were excited and as supportive as Iowa State as I was. And it just was a great opportunity to meet alumni and students, and just the whole Cyclone family. I just truly enjoyed the people I got to meet, from even coaches and players and everything. It just was a great opportunity for me to network and meet a lot of my true friends today that I still have.
I enjoyed, making people smile, laugh, and entertaining, and always felt like, Psy was a critical part of the event. And so really enjoyed that aspect. But also to Noelle's point, in terms of the relationships, for me, I formed some great relationships with the athletic department. Max Urich and Tom Licklider were exceptional people to be around. And so, it was just so positive in many ways.
You guys will laugh at this, but so kind of my jokingly claim to fame, if you still walk around campus, all the trash cans are like those solar trash cans, and Psy is on all of them, like, in different outfits, slamming trash into the garbage can. And I actually did the photo shoot for that. So my claim to fame is, after, almost 10 years now, I am still on every trash can at Iowa State.
That's great.
Impressive.
That's awesome. Thank you, Mike, Brad, and Noelle, for partnering with the Alumni Association today. We really appreciate you guys coming on. We hope that those of you watching enjoyed this virtual Q&A celebrating Psy's homecoming birthday and hearing what it's like to be Iowa State's mascot. If you haven't already, be sure to register for Thursday's live Cyclone Power Hour event with ISUAA President and CEO Jeff Johnson, along with some special guests. Go to isualum.org/homecoming to learn how you can be part of this interactive event, as well as a full list of other virtual activities. Happy homecoming week, and we'll talk to you again soon. Go Cyclones.